how surprised were you at the effort and the results of your team last week?
I was pleased with it. I wouldn't say that I was surprised by it, though. These guys, really since we've got here, they've worked extremely hard, and they had a great week of practice, and I felt like they were very focused and excited to go play. When you start to experience some success, I think you get anxious to get out there and do it again, and I felt that, through the week. So, but the effort was good, but the effort's expected to be good. That's what we're trying to establish as our standard.
And I know the new uniforms, but they look like a completely different team, speed-wise and everything else.
We were pretty sharp. I think the way we practiced during the week, our last real, full-length hard practice was Thursday morning, and then we went to the Rose Bowl on Friday night and had a quick walkthrough. But we gave them some time off their feet. I think at this point in the season, that's not a bad thing to do. We practice with a lot of intensity. We practice fast. We practice hard, physical. But just having a little extra time there with a night game to recover, I think it helped them a little bit. Uniforms were pretty. I thought the uniforms looked great.
So where does this week's game fall on the scale of trap games?
I don't believe in trap games. I think that's a term that the media and the fans use. Coaches don't use it. For us, it's just about getting on to the next game, focusing on what we have to do to win this game. I've never used that word with a team, nor will I ever use it with a team. I've never heard a coach use it with a team, and I would never expect to hear a coach use it with a team. And I've been with some pretty darn good coaches.
Coach, do you think, it might be a silly question, do you think uniforms impact their play at all? Do you think psychologically it does anything?
I don't want to say no, but I don't want to say yes either. I think that maybe it gives you a little boost, but unless you come out and play well early, then that boost doesn't mean a thing. It's not about the uniform. It's about the person in the uniform playing, their mindset, their focus, their intensity, their passion, their attention to detail, the way they prepared coming into the game, all of those things. And I thought we did that well last week. And I think, people look at the uniform and give it too much credit. It was a great-looking uniform, but I don't think the uniform helped us play the way we played.
How do you think Hester and Price matched up against their wide receivers and how that impacted how you called the game defensively?
You know what? Early in the game, we had some success on defense. I think that the sack, the second play of the game, where Scott, he loves to get rid of the ball quickly, and he does a tremendous job of getting rid of the ball quickly. And what happened on that play is that Andrew Abbott flashed in his throwing lane, forced him to hold it. We got the sack, and I think from that point we gained some confidence. Specifically speaking towards the corners, they've got big physical receivers, and our corners have got some length to them. They're taller, longer guys, and when they can get up against guys that have some size and get their hands on them early, they can have some success, and they did that. And so it allows you to bring more of your focus towards the inside of the defense, which is really what Arizona liked to do, is throw it between the numbers. So we were able to kind of put more guys in there, so it helped.
What are the challenges you face on the team this week if they throw 50 times a game?
Well, it's just I'm finally kind of getting used to the pace and the tempo of the college game. But this will be the third week in a row now that we're going against a team that likes to really spread the field and dish it off to a lot of different guys. And I think Mike Leach just does a great job conceptually. There we go. I'll get it right. Conceptually, in the pass game, of making you defend a lot of field, both vertically and horizontally. And you see it, even though the record doesn't necessarily reflect it. You see that offense becoming what he wants it to become. And so, once again, I think for us, it boils down to us playing with discipline, play after play after play, tackling well, getting pressure on the quarterback, being where we're supposed to be in coverage, and then if we get opportunities, capitalizing on them.
I know it's said a lot, but how much of an advantage is it that you're defense practices against an up-tempo spread team every day in practice?
Oh, I think it helps. I really do. I think there's only been one drive this year where I felt like we didn't match the tempo of our opponent, and that was the second drive versus Arizona State when they took it down. Remember, they went about 70 yards, just boom, 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 and scored. And that was the only drive that I can remember, and there may be more, where I felt like we were a little bit on our heels. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that from the first practice of spring all the way through the last practice we had Friday night, it's been about tempo. And then last week, our offensive scout team did a tremendous job of pushing the tempo. And, each week when we do win a game, we recognize, scout team player of the week on offense and defense. And this week we recognize the entire offense, the offensive look team, because they just did a great job. We had 2 periods of what are typically 15-minute periods where we get 30 plays in, and we did 35 plays in 12 minutes with our look team. And that's 5 offensive linemen going 35 straight plays without a break. That's hard to do, and they did a heck of a job, so we have to give them a lot of credit for that.
Was there anything different about this week that you guys just got it against Arizona? Was there anything there?
Do you mean in practice?
Yeah. Just from what you've seen on film and watching it, that you just understood how to scheme for it?
No. We play our scheme. We tweak it. You tweak it each week. But people don't make wholesale changes. Even people talk about Bill Belichick. He throws out a defense, puts in a whole new scheme each week. That's not true. You have a scheme that you run. You tweak it each week for your opponent. But the most important thing is that you understand what you're doing and doing it that way every time. And, we just had a night where we made fewer mistakes at critical times. Guys were on the same page more often than maybe you typically are in a game. Football games are chaotic. It's crazy down there. And you're competing against 11 other players that are highly skilled and have a scheme that they run as well that's designed to beat your scheme. And so, sometimes it just comes together, and it just came together pretty nicely for us the other night defensively.
You're on top of your division, you're ahead of US rankings, it's getting a lot of buzz around here. Is there any word that you're going to get happy starting to come back this way?
No.
What's in their character that makes you feel that way? What have you seen out of these guys that makes you think they're going to get distracted?
Well, they haven't been distracted up to this point. They've done a tremendous job of focusing on the here and now and on the goal that's directly in front of them. And the goal that's directly in front of us right now is the Washington State Cougars. And so that's what we think about.
Is it easier week after week when you're facing a spread offense? You said tweak week after week, and you don't have to tweak it that much as opposed to going up against a West Coast offense or a more pro style. Does it make it easier week after week?
Yeah, because there's some familiarity. So really what happens, and I think that's a really good question, is that as you go into a week, you familiarize yourself with the opponent's schemes and what they like to do. When there is some familiarity, it allows you to take some of that mental space that you use for preparation and devote it to yourself a little bit, a little bit more on how we're going to take care of our business as opposed to how the opponent's trying to attack us. So I do think there's carryover. But even though they may look the same, the spread, the route concepts, there'll be their own variations, their own points of emphasis. Washington State, they might line up the same pre-snap as Arizona State or Arizona or Houston if you go way back, but once a ball snapped, there's some differences. But still there is some carryover really in kind of your pre-snap adjustments, so it helps you. It does help you. There's carryover.
How does Washington State change if Marquise Wilson can't play?
They won't change. They're going to do what they do, And I've said it, and I say it all the time, and I never want to minimize the abilities of individual players on opposing teams, because we've played some great players. But I think it's really important that your primary thing is to prepare for a scheme, because schemes don't change that much. They just don't at any level. So you've got to learn the scheme, and then within, learning the scheme, you've got to have plans for particular players that can pose problems within that scheme.
So in particular, you do plan for temperatures in the 20s by the second half of that game?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't even address it.
Any danger comes with playing a team that's in some sort of turmoil? I mean, Washington State's had a lot of things.
That stuff doesn't matter to us. Once you let temperature, environment, and the psyche of another team bother you, you got issues. So we don't address it. It doesn't matter to us. It's not in our orbit. We don't care. We're worried about the UCLA Bruins. Is that it? I didn't even get an opening statement tonight. You took it from me. No, I'm kidding. No closing statements either. No.